All right, let's talk about omega-3. You've seen it everywhere, right? On supplement bottles, in health headlines, for decades. But if you're like most people, you're probably a little confused about what it actually does. And hey, you're not alone. For years, the science has been, well, a total mess. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get to a real breakthrough in heart health. So, what is the real story here? Is omega-3 some kind of cardiovascular miracle? Or is it just, an overhyped myth? This question, believe it or not, has been at the heart of a scientific debate for more than 20 years. But here's the good news. The verdict is finally in. And honestly, it's way more exciting than most people realize. I mean, you've seen the headlines, right? One day you read an article that says omega-3s are a total lifesaver. They reduce heart attack risk. Then the very next day, another study comes out saying, nope, they're no better than a placebo. This constant back and forth has left pretty much everyone, including a lot of doctors, feeling completely lost. But it turns out all of this confusion boils down to one huge, fundamental mistake. Okay, let's really get into this because this right here, this is the key that unlocks the entire mystery. For decades, researchers were studying omega-3, which, remember, comes from fish oil, as if it were a pharmaceutical drug. But it's not. It's a food. And that super simple distinction, it changes everything. So why does that matter so much? Well, think about it. When we talk about drugs, we're always thinking in these tiny units, right? Milligrams or mg. But when we talk about the stuff our bodies are actually built from, things like protein, fat, nutrients, we talk in grams, g. And that difference is, well, it's 1,000 times bigger than you probably think. And this is where a brilliant analogy comes in. Imagine if researchers decided to study eggs, but instead of giving people a whole egg, they gave them this tiny 1-gram sliver of an egg every day. After a few months, they'd look at the data and probably conclude that, hey, eggs don't really do anything for your health. And you'd be sitting there thinking, of course not. That's not a real serving. And you would be absolutely right. Because a gram is 1,000 times bigger than a milligram. For years, and I mean years, so many of these big omega-3 studies were using doses of around 1,000 milligrams. Now that sounds like a lot, right? 1,000. But from a nutritional standpoint, it was the exact same thing as feeding someone that tiny piece of an egg and then expecting some kind of miracle. This massive dosage error is the #1 reason why so many of those early studies came back saying omega-3s didn't work. So, once scientists started using the right dose, they needed the right tool to actually see what was happening. And the game really, truly changed when new technology let us literally look inside our own coronary arteries and watch the effects happen in real time. And that incredible tool is called a CTA scan. The easiest way to think of it is like a super high-resolution 3D camera for your heart. For the very first time, doctors could go beyond just seeing if an artery was getting narrower. They could now precisely measure and, more importantly, analyze the exact type of plaque that was building up on the walls. And it turns out not all plaque is created equal. You've got your hardened, calcified plaque. And then there's more stable, fibrous plaque. But the real villain, the one we really have to worry about, that's the soft plaque. This stuff is unstable. It's packed with inflammatory gunk, and it's just waiting to rupture. It's basically a ticking time bomb inside your arteries that can trigger a sudden heart attack. This is the plaque we absolutely have to stop. So now we have the right dose and the right tool. So what did we find? Well, 2 groundbreaking studies called Evaporate and Cherry finally gave us the smoking gun, actual visual proof of what a proper dose of omega-3 can do to that dangerous, soft plaque. Let's look at the Evaporate study because its design was just so simple and elegant. They took a group of patients who are already on statins, that's the standard drug for high cholesterol, and they split them into 2 groups. One group just kept taking their statin with a placebo. The other group took their statin plus a high dose, 4,000 milligrams, of a specific omega-3 called EPA, which is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory fatty acids out there. And the results were, they were absolutely stunning. In the group that was only taking the standard statin, that dangerous soft plaque, it just kept on growing. But in the group that added the high-dose omega-3, that exact same dangerous plaque didn't just stop growing. It actually started to shrink. It began to reverse. This was huge. So, what does shrinking plaque actually mean in the real world? This is the crucial part. A follow-up analysis found that the patients who actually achieved this plaque reversal had 4 times fewer major heart events, we're talking heart attacks, compared to the people whose plaque just kept getting worse. 4 times! That's not a small number. Okay, this is incredible science, for sure. But what does all of this actually mean for you, for your health? Let's take these findings and turn them into a clear, actionable plan. Because honestly, how you apply this knowledge is what really matters. First things first, we have to talk about the single biggest flaw that was just completely overlooked in almost all the past research. Nobody was adjusting the dose for a person's body size. They were giving a 200-pound person the exact same dose as a 120-pound person, and just hoping for the same result. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work that way with anything else. Why would it work here? So how do we stop guessing what our dose should be? The answer is something called the omega-3 index. It's a really simple blood test that measures the amount of EPA and DHA. Those are the 2 most important omega-3s for your heart, right there in your red blood cell membranes. And since your red blood cells live for about 4 months, this test gives you a super stable long-term picture of your omega-3 status. It's not just a snapshot of what you ate for lunch yesterday. And when you look at the numbers from around the world, it becomes crystal clear why testing is so important. The average person in the US, they have a really low index, down around 3.3%. But then you look at places like Japan, where heart disease rates are way, way lower, and their average is over 8%. And based on all the latest science, the optimal zone, the target you want to shoot for to really protect your cardiovascular system, is up between 10 and 12%. Okay, so here it is, your simple 3-step action plan. Step 1, test your index. You can do this so easily now with an at-home kit. Step 2, aim for that 10 to 12% goal. Now for most people, that's going to mean supplementing with somewhere between 3,000 and 3,600 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA every day. And finally, step 3, retest in about 3 or 4 months to see if you've hit your target. And then you can adjust your dose if you need to. It's that simple. Test, treat, retest. So we've just seen how getting one single essential nutrient right can literally reverse the progression of heart disease. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? If optimizing just one factor can have such a profound, powerful impact, what else becomes possible for your health when you start looking at the whole system? That's a pretty powerful question to end on.